Cool. All right, guys. So my name is Nathaniel Reese. I'm going to go over no why, no buy. Can you put those things down? It's the sons and mice. So I've been in the business, guys, for about 4 years. I've done in-home era. I've done telesales. I've done annuities. I've done IULs, final expense, mortgage protection. I've done it all. Um, I The first 2 years I did around 200,000 in home. Third year I did about 639,000.
Yeah, dude.
And then last year we just ended up around 420,000, might be off a little bit. Both highest months I've done on IUL side and final expense were around 85,000. Now, when you're going over the why, guys, you got to understand that if you don't have the actual why, you're not going to get sale. That's where the I need to think about it comes in.
I don't know,
I
yeah.
need to talk about why. Schmitty, can you mute yourself, please?
I know. People get complacent and comfortable.
There we go. So show me a hands or a put a one in the chat if you are single, no kids, no dependents. Okay. It's quite a bit. So the reason why I bring that up,
Just shit they want us like
yeah,
in on.
mute yourself. So the reason why I bring this up, because most of the time when people come into the business that have kids, have, something that depends on them, they can understand this quite easily. But I want you guys to ask yourself, the ones that have no kids, who's the most important person in your life specifically? Is it going to be like a brother, sister? Is it going to be your mom or dad? Because it's hard to, when you go into it, you're just thinking of the sale. I'm talking specifically for the guys and girls that don't have anybody that, like a child. But you want to ask yourself, what would it look like if you actually have them out of pocket? Like you as a client yourself, the agent, you as a client. Because if you can understand the heaviness, the depthness of what it feels like, that'll translate over to the client itself. And then I like to think of this as like the iceberg effect. So it's all service level, meaning like, they just want the coverage just so they can take care of the burial costs. But there's a few things that people look into this. It's going to be fear, guilt, avoidance, past trauma, financial insecurity, and then, the responsibility as far as, pressure, as guys, we gotta, protect our loved ones, things like that. So when you're going into the income, guys, this is going to be the part that's going to be pulling out the why the most. So it's going to be, like the debt, as far as like the mortgage, the rent, they have car notes, any medical bills, funeral costs. So there's all this debt. Who's taking care of this debt? Majority of the time, it's going to be the husband. Income's gone. Who's left? Majority of the time, wife, they got little ones, child. What happens with this person with all this debt after this person's gone with the income? Anybody want to answer?
The government comes for it.
Passed on
If it's a
to
home,
Bank
they can't.
taxes. They got to move.
yeah,
They
and
got
they
to
have to
move.
deal with the rest of that debt. Yeah, what to
Right.
do with it.
So this might be a little extreme. They could get homeless. They got family members. They have to go move with somebody. Think of all that stuff they have to go through. Say, I that I'm gonna get their Social Security. I'm gonna get their VA disability. That may be true, but how long did it take for that? Yeah, hold on. That may be true, but how long did it take for that veteran to get that person that has Social Security? How long did it take for them to get it? So you could just imagine how long it's going to take for that spouse or that dependent to receive that. So I'm a veteran myself. With getting VA disability, does anybody know how long it takes to get VA disability? It takes a
Long
long
time.
time,
It
a
could be
long, long
years,
time.
20 years, 15
So
years.
if they're dragging their feet just for that veteran, what makes you think they're gonna move fast for the spouse? It's gonna take a long time. So building on the urgency, like, hey, you know what? So I imagine you were looking into this because you just want to make sure that, your wife Karen doesn't have to come out of pocket for anything. And I imagine, it probably took you a long time to receive that VA disability. You'd probably just want to make sure that while she's waiting for that lag time, that she can receive have something that she can have some financial cushioning, right? So building off of that, and then as far as like the mortgage, this goes into another whole entire different topic. But think about, like, is it going to get repossessed? Is there going to be if they have equity inside the home? If they can't pay for the mortgage, the bank, the lender is going to take the home. Most of the time, they have over $100,000 in equity. That means they lost out over $100,000. So building off the why off of that, we have enough cushion to pay off the mortgage for about 12 months. Because you could probably agree that you probably don't know what the housing market is going to be in 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. It's like the stock market. The house can sell 2 weeks, a month, sell in a year. So we want to make sure the home is protected. So when you do sell the house, they can receive the home. And then another golden one too, if they've lived in the home for like 20 years, 30 years, if they have children, the key question you guys got to ask them is, does the home hold any sentimental value? So most of the time, the children they don't want to lose the home because it means a lot to them, all the memories. So building off of that and just knowing that they want to keep all of that. Now, going to the children, the parent dies. Most of the time, kids move out to different states. Most of the time, the children have their own children. Most of the time, they have their own bills. So when the parent dies, obviously we have outliers, but as a majority, that person is going to have to take time off work. That doesn't consider if they have PTO or sick time. They're going to have to travel, driving, flight tickets. And then two guys, I use ChatGPT while I'm closing. And what I mean by that is I'll literally look up where the say the beneficiary lives, how much a flight costs from where the customer or the prospect lives, to kind of give them some real tangible numbers. Considering that, and then that child, their bills don't stop coming in. So what about their mortgage? What about their rents? Put the one in chat if you guys are following me. Cool. So understanding what that child has to go through. Now, after they get this all said and done, this adult child that's dealt with their parents all their life, they raise them. Think of all the emotional damage that's going to come with it. Meaning, like the depression that comes with it. We don't know if they're going to go back to work. They need time off work. And pretty much, that taking consideration all this. So burial costs $10,000 to $20,000, time off work, the travel expenses. So in reality, we're looking at, 30,000, 40,000. So if you guys were at convention Anderson, I think that's his name. He was the first guy that spoke. One of the things he said was you want to reiterate the pain back on them, meaning you want to ask the prospect, the client, if they've been through the process, if they had to experience it themselves, if they had to pay for a funeral cost, or if they anything. So, and then you would pretty much just say, okay, so you just want to make sure that your own family or your wife Karen or your son John or whoever is not having to go through that same pain you went through, right? Because it makes them relive it. They understand, like, hey, they don't want them to come out of pocket for any of that. And then what I'll tell you also, don't give out numbers until you actually go over the why. Because again, if you don't go over the why, then again, you're going to run into the I need to think about it, meaning you didn't bring enough value. And lastly, I'll tell you guys before I open up for questions. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. If it comes to me, I'll tell you guys. But does anybody have questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What's your favorite way to, if someone's like, I just don't feel like I need it, what's your favorite way to, I know it depends on the situation, but what would you say to that exactly?
I just brush it off, no worries. So, did you have any existing coverage already? And then if they do, then I'll ask, how long ago they got it. If they just got it, then obviously for replacement, if it's ethical. And if they've had it for a long time, ask for how much it is. And if they ask why, just so you're not getting these phone calls anymore. So I'm kind of making sure like I'm doing them a favor. And then pretty much whatever they tell me, I'll sign that one to a task. Also, that's for the funeral costs. This one's to kind of just make sure you can leave some money behind them. Is that right?
Sounds fair.
They have coverage, just sign it. Sign it to something.
I had one this morning. The guy was like, I have $8 million, like I'm set. How do you like I think the way I would sell it is that okay, you have the money, why not reallocate what's in savings already so that it's a tax free to your beneficiary? But how do you sell that without being like selling it? Like how do you make that the why? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I probably just would have let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
I
have
know
just
you
let it
can't
go.
get them all.
I'm gonna be honest on that one.
All right.
I mean, you did good though by asking, hey, so most people they just reallocate some of what they have in the savings for the insurance here. But I mean, you're not gonna be able to sell everybody. That's
Yeah.
the ones that have a lot of money supposedly saved. I still have a hard time with that one.
All right.
Yeah, I got a question also.
Go
So
ahead, Brand.
when you're in the why, because I like how you use like the beneficiary, like how much time are they taking off of work? What bills do they have? Do they have kids? Like you really paint the picture like a lot. How do you like where in the why do you dig into that? Right? Like,
When I'm asking about the beneficiary.
yeah, so that's when you start asking those questions, like when you ask like who's the
Hmm.
benefit. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I can ask you like, so Brandon, who's going to be the beneficiary for this?
Oh yeah, it would be my son John.
John. Okay. And you're in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does John live in Ohio, or where's he located?
No, John's in Minnesota.
Minnesota, man. How long is that drive?
It's a long drive. I don't even remember.
You ever go visit him, or he comes visit you?
He comes visit me sometimes. Probably
He
like
probably has to
once.
have like time off work, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Nice. You got grandchildren?
Yeah, yeah, I do, luckily, yeah.
Nice, man. I bet it's fun seeing all the grandchildren coming by, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I love them.
Right. John, he probably has some big boy bills taking care of all those kids, huh?
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Mm, okay. So you're wanting to make sure that like when that time does come, he probably has enough money to take care of the burial costs again and anything that expenses that come with it, time off work and whatever bills that come at home that he can take care of it, right?
Yeah,
You see how I was just asking about that?
yeah. Okay. Appreciate
And
that.
then that only takes a little bit of time and then just go straight back into the
Yeah,
script.
yeah.
It doesn't take a long time at all.
To build that up. No, that's great. Appreciate that.
Nathan Shinoda, when you were a new producer, what took you from a sale a day from being 10K to week? So when I first got in the business, when we were doing in-home, so On is the one that brought me in the business. Um, so we had an old upline. We would do travel trips. So I invested from whatever sales I had to go out to St. Louis, and we would go out and do these travel trips. And um, I pretty much I learned everything in home where I could see somebody do it in live training. So what I mean by that for a new agent with all this virtual sales and all these offices, if you live somewhere that's not next to an office, whatever commissions you get, buy a flight ticket and go to the one of the biggest offices. I mean, you can go to Austin. I mean, that's where everybody is at. And then sit next to somebody that actually writes a lot of business. Don't go there just to mess around because then you're just wasting your money. Hopefully that answers your question, Nathan.
Yeah, get close to the fire. Thank you, Nate.
Yeah, for sure, bro. So what do you say when someone's like, I've been saving $350 a month for a year and a half and have 6,500 saved up, wanted to be cremated, wanted to leave money behind as well, but said he had to think about it because he figured he had to save them. Hmm. It goes back to what Max was saying too. So you're just wanting to make sure. So no. So what most people do, or most veterans, or most people on Social Security billing, they pretty much they allocate a small amount, which we'll say like from that $350, like $50 from that to a life insurance policy. So you have all this saving, and pretty much you would have like another $7,000 in coverage. Does that make sense? Is that why you're looking into this? Just asking, ending with a question.
Okay, I have a question. Um,
Go ahead, Kyle.
what do you say to people where they're like, oh yeah, my daughter, my son, like they're super well off, like they don't need my money anyways. Like why would I leave anything for them?
Yeah,
It's
for
like,
sure. I mean, you could probably agree, Kyle, when you're our age, that when you're his age, you probably didn't tell your parents everything going on financially, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, what's that saying? More money, more problems, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, so we probably just want to make sure that regardless of whatever he has going on, as far as bill wise, that you can leave him a little bit of extra money, right?
yeah, that makes sense.
So just remember, guys. So, I mean, let's be honest, how many people have struggled financially and not told their parents? A lot of people, right? Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you keep a lot of money.
That's good.
Hey, Nate, I had a question.
Go ahead.
So whenever you build on the why, you ask a lot of questions and you make sure to ask in-depth questions. But what do you say to the people whenever you ask like a question? Like he lives in Ohio, right? And they say, well, why do you
Mhm.
need to know that? I'm just trying to buy a policy.
Well, you didn't see how I asked it.
And does he live in Ohio?
I didn't say, does he live in Ohio? I said, well, just curious. So, is he in Ohio? Is he in Ohio? Like I was asking more of a genuine curiosity, not as
Hmm.
I'm me trying to gain information.
Mm. So is it something to do with the tonality? And if they still
It's
ask you like
tonality.
that, okay, okay. So you
If you
change the
ask in a
tonality.
curious tone, most people are more likely to give you the information
Okay. And have
because
you
it's
have you
it's
gone
just it's
across anybody?
conversation. That's all it is.
Mm, Okay. And have you gone across anybody that still gave you that confrontation?
No.
Okay, so just change the tonality.
Yeah, it's just more of a curious tone. That's all it is. Because if you're asking more of informational, then they're going to be more guarded. Not saying everybody, but there's a chance, possibility that'll happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, appreciate it.
Can you touch on the time management, risk management for new agents with family and wife? You're meaning, Nathan, you mean like somebody that comes into the business that has the whole family thing going on? I don't know if Nathan hear me. No, yeah. Okay, we'll come back to it.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
sorry about that, Nate. Yeah, I was just curious. You have a family and kids, and a lot of people come into this business, like by themselves. So for my new guys that have a family and kids, what advice would you give them for like their time management? And then, if they have limited resources, like when do they choose to start buying their own leads, things like that.
So I always say this. I know not everybody's going to support you in your business when you first get into it, but when I first got in, I pretty much sold all my family life insurance, so I can utilize the funds to put back into the business. So I mean that's one recommendation, and then two, you're going to have to be very, very intentional with your time, because at the end of the day, if you're not intentional, you're not doing everything you need to, waking up early, getting your own training in, looking at videos on YouTube, old school Zach Trudowski. Obviously Playbook has a million videos, old school Wiley videos. I don't know if you guys seen it, but Wiley can sling some of those videos just so you can get better at it, or looking at some old school John Wetmore videos on mortgage protection, Easton Patton. You got to do your own research. Because that's what I did when I first got in. I was obsessed with this. And then obviously when you're working, we all know that, no doom scrolling, because at the end of the day, if you don't make no money, your kids, your family, they're going to be the ones suffering. That's all it comes down to, it being very intentional.
I appreciate the honesty, Nate. That's awesome.
Sir, how how are you making it to are you making it? Crystal ball method. Still the same thing. Usually people I get on. So like with investments, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's like probate, and that happens. They're not going to get the money right away. So the life insurance, you can be like, okay, got it. So that's for the big pauls. It's like for the big money, the huge legacy to leave behind. So you're just kind of looking for a policy that pays out within 48 hours, right? Because hence, that's what the life insurance policies we do. What do you mean by that on this? I don't have a favorite objection. I don't think anybody has a favorite objection. I want to lay up. Whenever they say if yeah, Ben's on the account, but I disagree with them. Oh, perfect. So it'll be easy for them to get the money. So you're just wanting to make sure you can kind of just leave as much money behind for them because you love them as a father, or you love your wife, right? Anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead, bro.
Um, so when you were talking about building the why and asking them, oh, if their beneficiary works, would they have to travel? If the home has sentimental value, do you ever kind of get questions from the client like, oh, why do you need to know this? Or like, how does that pertain to the sale, like things of that nature? And if you do, like, how do you kind of handle that?
I've never gotten that. But if I did, I would just say, no, I was just asking curiosity. And then I would make up a story by myself. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, I grew like I can give you an example. So I didn't grow up with a lot of money, just like most Mexicans. And my parents, we lived in a home for the maybe like 5, 6 years. It got foreclosed because my dad couldn't afford it. And then when that happened, my mom was crying. So I can leverage that. No, I'm just curious because I remember when that happened to me. It was devastating for my parents. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming you're just wanting to make sure that it doesn't happen to your kids, right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want that to happen to my kids at all.
Yeah. So it's just it's conversational. It's not more informational obtaining. But obviously within the conversation, you're obtaining information.
Okay.
Because whatever they're telling you is ammunition to spit back at them if you get the objection or make them feel the heaviness of the motion.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Thank you, bro.
No problem, man. Any tips on how to incorporate the why after a client gets declined on multiple carriers? I noticed they forgot why and after the call has been dragged. So before you go into it, just you have to pre-frame it, just telling them, okay, so no worries if the carrier declines you, we're just going to the next carrier. So just bear with me here. But I mean it's at that point, that's going to be on you, Jace, to get extremely quick on the applications while you're on the phone with them. Because I know exactly what you mean on that. Because I mean, nobody wants to be on the phone with insurance, let alone calling car insurance. It's annoying. So just pre-framing that with them, just like, hey, so I am going to look at multiple carriers. No problem.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead again.
Do you actually like tell the people that they're getting declined? Like, is it smart to tell them that they're getting declined? Or is it better just to like tell them that you're just comparing different numbers?
I say pre-approved, unless they're absolutely cooked, but that's probably happened like once or twice
Hmm.
since I've been in this. But just say, yeah, we just got you pre-approved.
Okay, appreciate it.
Because it's going to create doubt for them, and somebody else is just going to come around and sell it. Oh, James. Okay. So how do you stay motivated when things aren't going right? At that point, it's just going to come down to pure grit. Um, just keep going, bro. For people that are that are into faith, praying a lot, staying, grounded. I've had times where, even though I've produced a lot, I've had times where I didn't sell for like 2 weeks. It is what it is. It's there's nothing sexy about it. You just have to keep going, bro. How long get my first sale? Well, it's I got it on the first try. I'm gonna be honest, but I didn't really know how to do the application, so I didn't really sell it. This was I was writing in Aetna, and this was an in-home. So but when I first did my telesales, it took me a long time. It took me quite a bit of time to understand how to get the telesales down. Just because we didn't have any of this training, I had to learn it myself. We had no scripts. It was definitely a long time. Any other questions?
Hey, brother, I have a question.
Go ahead, bro.
So yesterday or 2 days ago, I got a guy. It was in Alaska, and his main issue was, he had money. He had policy, I believe, $350,000, and he just wanted to cover the final expense. And when I gave him the quotes, for the cremation, he was, I believe, 65 or 70. When he's a numbers guy, so when he did math, like he just realized, hey, this is not gonna work for me, right? And I really didn't know how to overcome that. I tried to sell him as well an IUL because he has IUL, 25,000 just to have a little bit extra. But I just couldn't do anything. What would be your advice to that, or should you just pass on it? If you
You
get
talking
me.
about IUL?
No, so first he wanted to cover the final expense. I give them that coverage, right? It was like, I believe, $40 for $5,000 of coverage, right? But for IUL for 25, it will be, $70. So, the math works more with IULs obviously than final expense, right?
Mhm.
So how would you overcome that? Hey, I did math, and even if I live 10 to 15 years, it's not going to pay off.
I don't have an answer for that, bro. To be
Okay.
honest. Dude, I'm not the greatest at objections, but I just keep going.
Yeah. Okay. No, I
So
get it.
like that stuff, like when people have a lot of money, man, I have a hard time with that. The main part is just understanding the main objections, because those are outliers.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, if you figure it out, you can let me know. But like the main part you want to you want to focus on is like the I need to think about it, the spouse, things like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Sounds good, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, what Taylor said. Anybody else?
Yeah, what's your lead spend and what kind of leads do you buy?
1,500 vets. I like Jen, but those people are a little bit way more sick, and the premium smaller. But they're less they're less they have the pros and cons, bro. You'll get more answers with Jen, but if you're committed and you spend as far as on the leads like 1,000, then build up from there and just keep going up, you should be you'll be all right. Going once,
Hey Nate, I have a
twice.
question.
Go ahead, bro.
So how do you deal with people that are just like being difficult throughout like the whole process? Like how do you make them like kind of understand that it's a process?
That's what the script where it gives like the whole entire breakdown. That's what that's for.
Okay. I mean, or kind of when they like don't want to give out the name of their kids, or like how do you like smoothly kind of transition or like kind of make them work with you a little bit?
That one, I'll kind of just it just depends on like a vibe they give me. If there's a strong why they know they need it, then I'll kind of go a little bit, I'll go past the script. But if they're being combative, I'm not gonna continue with the sale, because then I would have wasted like 20 minutes just for them to say, nah, I'm good. 30
Okay, right.
minutes.
Thank you.
What On said. I'm a script. On's really good at definitely taking off the pressure, unlike I am.
Hey Nate, when someone already has a policy in place and you're trying to replace their coverage, anything like that, and you get their information, of their current policy, how are you are you digging in to find a why still? Um, do you go a separate route about those kind of things?
It depends. I mean, how long have they had it? So
They got
I'll
it
give you a story.
recently, like since they're since they sent in the request, they've gotten it. Is what I run
Okay.
into the most.
So I'll give you a story here. So I had a gentleman I was closing. The premium was like $800. It was something ridiculous. It was multiple policies, and he was down with it. He was cool with it. But after doing all the math, I actually would have put him in a terrible position. Now, most agents that are just thinking about their wallet, they still would have did it. I told him, you know what? Let's just keep up what you have. Because at the end of the day, you got to remember, guys, you're there to help them. I mean, I probably would have made like 7 bands and I would have been straight, but I wouldn't have felt good about it because then they had to go back to 2-year contestability and all of that. But what I reframed this as, okay, got it. So what I'd recommend, because you still said you wanted more coverage, is let's just add on an extra $10,000, and he was cool with that. So that's doing good underwriting, good moral ethical work with the clients. Now, when it comes to somebody else where they just got it, well, it depends. If they got a Eagle Select One America, what else more, value can you bring to them?
Okay, yeah, I just have I kind of run into it when they do, give me the information on their policy. Sometimes they won't remember who it's with a lot of the time, but for like their
What I'll
pricing and
tell
whatnot,
them, what
trying to
what
sell
I'll
them on
tell them,
price.
I'll tell them, okay, got it. So just so I can help you out, because it sounds like nobody really helped you with this, and I'm sure you want to know who you have. So when that date does come, your kids or your beneficiary aren't confused. And by the way, what's your beneficiary's name? I'm trying to get it right then and right there pretty quick, and then I'll get it so I can kind of just put it away so I have it for later. And then and if they have their bank statement, that means they have their account number, right? So you can get it later. But you want to ask them. So go down the lines and just see what insurance carriers are drafting from you.
Okay.
This is
Yeah,
how you
I
get
just I
quick. This
feel
is how
like
you get witty with it. And then as far as whatever they tell you, what they're getting charged, and then you know how old they are, then you go to the toolkit. You put the amount in the toolkit, it'll spit out the carrier on the coverage, and you know how much they have. This is how you're doing some detective work.
thank you.
Okay, I have one more question. Okay, how do you deal with somebody who's like, they go, yeah, I have like a $500,000 policy, but then they swear that they're paying like $50 a month. So then I try and be like, I'm like, oh, so is it like a term policy or whole life insurance policy? But then they're like super adamant on it being like a whole life insurance policy, and then they won't get the policy packet because it's had someone say it was in their safe, so they would have to go upstairs and get the code and stuff and like a whole
100% of the
hassle.
time, it's an accidental policy.
Mm.
You're shooting yourself in the foot when you're asking that question. So you pretty much now you're shooting yourself in the foot when you're asking that question. You just pretty much just ask them, okay, got it. So you probably got that through your financial institution. 9 out of 10 times they say yes, and then you ask them the name of the bank so you can have that routing number on hand for later for when you sell them.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, got it. So that's an accidental. I mean, you have a better chance of winning the lottery rather than that thing paying out. So you're just wanting to make sure you can get something for the final expenses. Is that right?
$100 a month with Americo would put her at 16,000.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Did that help?
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'm gonna put my hand on the chat. You guys can follow me, ask me a question.
I know this might be a hard question, but what's like some like common things that you hear agents say that is just building objections, like they're just giving themselves objections, like just common things that I don't know, like it's whatever in your guys' team or whatever, just common things that you hear dudes say that are just screwing themselves in the end, just shooting themselves in the foot.
Just asking open-ended questions. That's for anybody. All new agents ask the same questions. It's not just like one that office says more than the other. What's a way to get bigger premiums without going out of the budget? So way more ways to get more premium out of the client, but you got to make sure too if they can afford it. You don't want chargebacks because that'll put you out of business. Um, when you're asking those questions that went over back to like say the adult child or the wife, building all this debt up so they understand what they have to do. And then essentially, like 80-year-olds, it's going to be expensive. If like if you've been doing this for a while, but like for the guys that are new, that knowledge will come, time will come. But I think of it kind of like price anchoring. So I'll say, okay, so we need around this amount of coverage. So like 30, 40,000, 50,000, because all that building up, we want to make sure we can take care of everything. Obviously, if it's within the budget, right? And they'll say, right. So they understand they need this much because you're guiding them. So when you come to the quoting and you show them those numbers, that's how you can go over as far as on the getting the bigger premiums. But be mindful, obviously, don't show them something they say they can afford and it's out of their budget and it's going to cancel in 3 months. Any other questions?
I have a question, Nate.
Go ahead, Jackson.
So when you kind of build the why, obviously it's more in the front end of the call, but how would you like drop like small things here and there, building the why throughout the call, like when you're going over numbers and going over benefits, stuff like that? How would you do that?
Just constantly keeping the why going.
Yeah.
Everything. I know I remember David Layton was doing a call. I don't really do this too much, but it's really good. Um, Asking about like their family history on their health. So, like say for instance, if your parent had a stroke or whatnot, so you're just trying to make sure that again, you can get some coverage in place, before anything like that happens to you. And God forbid that even does happen to you. Or, if they're healthy, or like, okay, so you're just making sure you can get this coverage. But, again, if something were to happen to you health-wise, it could be way more expensive than it is now, right? Things like that. Any other questions? All right, bet.